Hello, I'm Catherine Donovan. Okay, I got more on the school I went to, this next school. I left Wood in Kent, and now I'm at a place known as Atlanta. No, not Atlanta, Georgia. This school was known as Atlanta, which was a really stupid name. So, anyway, being at this school, I absolutely felt torturous from it. Just absolutely, positively torturous when it came to 7th to 8th grade. I was bullied there. Why? Because I was discovered as a songwriter. One of the bullies, they were all males. Ugh, I hated them. They always be like, oh, what are you writing? And I always tell them to back off, but they wouldn't. I hated them. Always coming at me, always threatened to throw the ball at me, and every time I cringed, they would laugh. Even I had a second crush on one of those bullies, but I hate and love him. I liked him, but I also hate him because he was one of the bullies. How can someone so cute as him would go out of his way to hurt me and think it was the most funniest thing? I just wanted to chop off their heads. No, not really, not really. That's the most craziest thing I've ever would say. But sometimes when you're being bullied too far, you get dark thoughts in your head, and all of a sudden you're like at the end of the rope. You're like talking to yourself crazy, and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse until you finally figure it out. I can't deal with this anymore. It was the most horrible thing, and other bullies would be trying to aggravate me, but I would aggravate them too. Like, I would say something witty, and one of them would try to punch me like they were going to, but I just got scared and I just backed off, and they're like, nah, nah, nah. One of them tried to use a remote control car to bother me, hit me in the foot. They thought it was funny. They tried, and I'm like telling them, back off, but they wouldn't, and I'm like, stop it, and I ended up bursting into tears. I couldn't help it. I was too sensitive. I hated it. I just hated this year. And sometimes when I wasn't being bullied, I would cry because I hated going to the school. I hated the teachers. I hated it. I managed to find some female friends, but there was one in particular who, she was pretty smiling at things inappropriate and mean, and she was just like saying, oh, I'm not the one doing it. Oh. Well, she got her just desserts after when I went to the school and she was there, and all of a sudden this one teacher, who was that fundamentalist I mentioned, just spoke her against it, and this girl's mom came, and the mom said, oh, my daughter never really does her homework. Oh, she's just so lazy. And the girl's like glaring at her mom like, what? And I'm just sitting there stunned, but at the same time I'm like, how? I guess she got what was coming towards her. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of that story. She went and started a rumor about me because she thought I had a crush on a boy, and she went and did it, and I was harassed for it. I confronted her about it, and she denied it. How could she do that? I mean, we were talking about inappropriate things like belly rings and lesbians and stuff like that. But I was young. I was just dumb, stupid. But I've grown up and learned past it. I've learned from my past mistakes, and I realize no more. No more of this. I was done with her. I was just done. I spoke against her before. Just walked away thinking I was stronger than this. But I felt like I was still defeated. At the same time, I was still being bullied. And there was one kid I knew from childhood who was getting bullied too. The teacher tormented him. He was a laughing stock. And then all of a sudden, one time I was out in the freaking playground. Yeah. Even teenagers got to play out of the immaturity of fun. Oh man. I remember sitting up and avoiding myself to be seen. And I watched helplessly as he was getting bullied by the ones that bullied me too. At first I felt safe, but at the same time, I didn't. I wanted to go down there and help him, but I couldn't. And I blame myself for it, because even though maybe some people would say that when they couldn't help someone and then the next day they're dead, well, he still is alive and he seems to be doing better, but I could never really forgive myself for not helping him with those bullies that were tormenting him. And I remember him saying, "Leave me alone, please stop it, leave me alone, leave me alone." I was like, I'm glad they're not bullying me, but at the same time, just hearing them just tormenting him, I was just upset. Why? Why were these bullies doing this to me? What did I even do to them? Sure, I had like a lot of issues, but I did not deserve this. So many rumors, so many lies, so many inappropriate people. One teacher who was one of the smokers was talking about two students who had a bit of an intimate relationship and made a joke out of it. Actually, he made a lot of sex jokes that people thought were funny, but I didn't. Even the girls found it funny, but me, I was like, really? Why would you make these inappropriate jokes? Are you trying to be funny? Even that one bald teacher we had as a computer person, teacher, whatever, I asked him if he could do me a favor and put a song on CD. And I showed him one and he said he would, but it wasn't exactly, and I called him out for it, but he was being a real jerk about it, saying, "Oh, you asked me to do a song and I did it. The least you could do is be grateful." Well, I was a bit of a jerk at the time, but I was like, really? Like, really? Okay. I'm like, I'm never trusting him again. And I was like, whatever. Oh, man. It was really hard just to deal with that. Just to be bullied, to be scared. I couldn't even tell my own mom about it. And that's what kills me. But at the same time, for some reason, I just didn't want to, because she had her own issues. Dealing with Dad, dealing with all of this. I took medication to help with my behavioral issues, but it made me overweight even more. It was really horrendous. But anyway, we're going to continue more after all of this, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I'll see you next time.